Morning, everyone. Good morning. I hope you guys are doing well. Today is February the 9th, brand new week here in the markets. A lot of things to kind of talk about Friday. Nice kind of bounce here on the major indices. The Dow is at all-time highs. QQQ bounced off its lows. SPY actually rebounded fairly nicely. A lot of things to kind of talk about, as I mentioned, coming to this week. We have some earnings still left on some of these high beta names and some of these tech names. We do also have some more red folder news events, of course. What is up, everyone? Hope you guys had a great weekend. You guys are ready to lock in. What's up, everyone? KO, Victor, Cody, Andreas. Good morning, Lamit. Hartik, Deuce, Big Up, Frank, 50. Good morning, TW, Cinna. What's up, David? First time watch. Any advice? This is the first time we'll go over all the things that we're looking for in the pre-market game plan. I guess it's your first time, so you'll see. What's up, Robert? Good morning, Cosmic Geo. Good morning. Hey, Robert, Stefan, Daniel, Maria, Sweet. Yeah, what's up, everyone? Hope you guys are doing well. Let's get right into the economic calendar, and then we'll head on to some charts here. So first things first, what do we have coming into this week? So Tuesday, we have some red folder news events, core retail sales. That is going to be at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Wednesday, average hourly earnings along with non-farm enrollment change. That is going to be at 8:30 as well. And then Thursday, we have unemployment claims. And then on Friday, we have core CPI. So last week we had core PPI. That was on Friday at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. This week, CPI is on Friday as well. They changed the dates for these. We'll see if they end up switching back to its normal dates. But currently for now, when we had that government shutdown, the dates ended up getting moved. So that's what we have for the red folder news events coming into this week. As for the earnings calendar, still have a couple notable earnings to keep an eye out for. Number one, if you're looking at Monday, things like Open, right? You have some other names. The big ones this week, right? Coca-Cola, we have Spotify, Robinhood's on Tuesday after close. We also have Shopify on Wednesday. Other big names, APP after close, Cisco, QuantumScape. On Thursday, we have Coinbase. This is a good one to keep an eye out for. And then on Friday, we don't have too much else. So as you can see, we still have a couple of names that do have earnings, notably APP along with Robinhood. As for all the big tech names, along with the Mag 7, we already reported the last 2 weeks. So now we just have a couple other names with earnings, but primarily the earnings are over, at least the major ones. We still have some other ones to keep an eye out for. As for the charts, now let's go on to what we're looking for coming into this week. Let's first start off on the ES and NQ. So first things first, as you can see, damn, no shout out for Wendy's. As for ES, you can see we end up gravitating down and towards key levels last week. You can see major buyers are stepping in very nicely. Specifically on the ES, we have the YM. If you guys ever look at the Dow, you can see the Dow actually made a brand new all-time highs here on Friday. And if you look at the QQQ, we're lagging quite behind. We mentioned that the tech has been lagging, but you can see it's coming back down into key levels of support. And you can see nice buyers stepped in here on the NASDAQ. So let's first start off on the ES. So as you can see here, coming into this week, the key levels that we're going to have marked out is going to be our Friday's highs. And we also have our Thursday's highs of last week. Once we're able to reclaim back above our Thursday's highs, you can see really solid push towards the upside here on the ES on Friday. And we end up gravitating up and towards this 69.60. So coming into market open, what are the levels that we're going to have marked out? At least for today, we're going to mark out this 69.60 along with our Thursday's highs of last week. If we want to see some upside, The main thing is going to be above our Friday's highs for continuation towards the upside. Of course, another possible scenario is going to be above now your overnight highs for continuation here as well. So two scenarios for upside here on the ES. Another possible scenario, if it rejects right off the bat, consolidates and reclaims later into the session, we can keep an eye out for ES continuation above our Friday's highs. So a couple scenarios here for the ES for upside coming into market open here today. With the markets bouncing nicely on Friday, we're just going to keep an eye out for the reaction that we have off of key levels. As for the downside, the only one scenario that we have for the downside is just going to be the pop and fade. Pop and fade off our Friday's highs for this continued pushback towards the downside, or if we had strong sellers step in right off the bat, we can be looking for the rejection here off of our pre-market lows for this push down in towards our Thursday's highs of last week. So this is what we have coming into today here for the ES. Key level is going to be that 69.60. We've used this level multiple times here now. Plus now we've had multiple multiple reactions that we've had on Friday. Plus, as you can see in the pre-market as well. So keep an eye out on this 69.60. As for the SPY chart, the key levels that we're going to have marked out is our 692. You can see multiple touches off our 692. If we're looking at this on the hourly time frame, what we have here on SPY is big buyers stepping in off our 674. So this was our key level coming to last week. You said we had multiple touches, and we also had multiple reactions towards the upside. Now for the SPY, big buyers stepped in right off our key level support. Nice push towards the highs. Now for SPY moving forward, if we can get back above this 692, we can see this push all the way back up and towards our all-time highs, which is our 698. So this is what we have coming to today here for the SPY. As you can see, we just have multiple touches around the 692. Back from earlier of January. As you can see, multiple touches here. This is when we broke down here on February. Now, if we can break above, as I mentioned, we can see that push back up and towards our all-time highs. If we reject off this level, we can see a push all the way back down in towards our 684. So that's what we have coming into market open. If I was to just draw this over, this is the exact level coming into today. Break above, retest, continuation towards the upside is in play. Let me actually just zoom in here. So coming into today, the key levels that we have for upside is going to be our pre-market highs along with our previous day highs. So a few scenarios, really break above our previous day highs, hold above that previous day highs for continuation towards the upside. Another possible scenario here is consolidation underneath their previous day highs, reclaim later into the session. We can see this continue push back up and towards our 697 here as well. So these are the scenarios for upside. Upside is going to be above our 692 coming into market open. The only downside scenario that I have on the SPY is the rejection off our previous day highs along with our pre-market highs for this continuation down in towards our pre-market lows. Or if there's a lot of sellers that step in right off the bat, we can be looking for the pre-market low retest for a push down in towards our 683. So this is what I have for the ES and SPY coming into market open. Now let's head on to the NQ. Let me grab some water here as well. What's up, everyone? Good morning. Hope you guys are doing well. How do you find the earnings? You can search up you can search up earnings calendar on Twitter. You can search up earnings calendar on Google. How to draw hive day. I'm not sure exactly what you mean by how to draw hive day, but if you're talking about your previous day highs, you're just going to go on to the market hours, the regular market hours from 9:30 to 4 p.m. and you can just draw at the high and low. So those are your highs and lows that we pay attention to every single day. Okay, let's go on to the NQ chart. So the NQ chart coming to market open, you can see on Friday, we end up breaking above a key level. Nice kind of continuation up and towards our Friday's highs, really back in towards the key level that we rejected from. And this is the exact area that we dropped. So you can see nice push up in towards this general area, 25,200 here on the NQ. Now you can see we actually came back down, retested this level here in the pre-market. So moving forward for the NQ, if we're looking at this on the hourly time frame, reclaim back above, we can see this mean reversion, right? This would be technically a higher time frame potential kind of inverse head and shoulders forming if we can get back above our 25,200. So far, you can see buyers are actually stepping in right off our Thursday's highs of last week. So longs above our 25,200 or the potential hold above our 24,900. Let's go back onto the 15-minute time frame. So the key levels coming to today, what we're going to have marked out is going to be that Friday's highs of last week. If we do want to see some upside here, break above our previous day highs for this continuation towards the upside. Another possible scenario if price had a really strong push right off the bat, we could be looking for longs above our our overnight highs that we've created. Another possible scenario, as you can see so far, buyers are stepping in here off our 24,960, right? If buyers stepped in either off our Thursday's highs or it'll be the reclaim later into the session. So a couple of scenarios that I have laid out for the NQ coming into market open. As for some downside, the key levels that we have marked out here as well is going to be that 25,240. If we reject off this level, we can be looking for this push down in towards that 24,960. Another possible scenario is going to now be underneath this 24,960 for this continued push down in towards our last week's lows. So these are the scenarios that we have played out on the NQ coming into market open. So that's what we have. As for the QQQ coming into today, the key levels that we have marked out on the Qs is going to be our 612 along with the 604. So you can see multiple touches here off our 612 and multiple touches here off our 604. So as you can see, let's go back onto the 15-minute time frame. The key levels that we're going to have coming into today is going to be that 612. You can see multiple touches in the pre-market on Friday. This is the exact area that we broke down from. And then the other key level that we have marked out is our Thursday's lows, which is that 604. So the game plan coming into today here for the QQQ, longs are going to be above our previous day highs for continuation towards the upside. Another possible scenario, consolidation, reclaim later into the session for this continuation higher here as well. And then of course, another possible scenario is going to be the bounce off our Thursday's highs for this continuation higher here as well, or the reclaim much later into the session. So a couple scenarios that we have here for the QQQ for some upside today. The only downside scenario that I have, similar thing as before, the pop and fade here off our 612. This one, in my opinion, is going to be a little bit more tricky. Or now if we're underneath our Thursday's highs of last week, shorts are in play underneath this 605. So this is what we have coming into today here for the major indices, the SPY and the QQQ. Now I'm going to head on to some tech names here in a second. Okay, we should be back. Can you guys see my screen? And can you guys hear me? Also, if you guys are enjoying this so far, I appreciate if you guys drop a like. If you guys do have any charts or any tickers, you guys can now drop them in the chat. If you guys haven't joined the free daily watch list, that of course is in the description below here as well. What's up, Mr. Incredible? Thanks for the 5. Assume the scalping strategy using the 1 minute is good for these levels. So when you're on the 1 minute time frame, my favorite is the 1 and 5 minute. So once we mark out these key levels, so I have a full video breaking down exactly how I draw these key levels. So these are based off the higher time frames. Then going on to the 1 minute time frame, we're going to be looking for the reaction that we have off these levels. You can be on the 1 or the 5 minute time frame. Preferably if you have both charts up, you always want to flip back and forth, right? If you're so zoomed in on the 1 minute time frame, sometimes you can easily get faked out. So make sure you have the 1 and 5 minute time frame pulled up. I do have plenty of videos going over this. So make sure you have multiple time frames, preferably the 1 and 5 minute, and then you can look for the reaction that we have off these key levels. So these key levels are just old highs, old lows, and they're going to be respected just because we do have multiple touches around them. Okay, let's go on to the tech names here in a second. Let's first talk about the SMH. The direct email, my email should be in the description below if you want to reach out. Okay, so for the SMH, let's go into this daily time frame here. And let's look at this from a higher time frame perspective. So the SMH bounced exactly where we wanted it to. 372. As you can see, higher time frames, this was our previous level of resistance. Price came back down in towards this retest level. As you can see, buyers stepped in perfectly right off our 372, and now we're having big buyers step in. So for the SMH, we now like to see this potential push really back up in towards our all-time highs. Let's go back onto the lower time frames here. As you can see, as I mentioned, big buyers stepped in here. Friday, nice reclaim, push towards the upside. Now we're basically at the exact level that we rejected from. So now here on the SMH, the key levels that we have coming into today is just going to be our 400 key psych. If we can get above our 400 key psych, we can be looking for some upside. So above our 401 is our previous day highs. We can be looking for continuation towards the upside. Another possible scenario now above our previous day highs for this continuation higher here as well. Of course, another scenario is if we consolidate, reclaim later into the session, we can be looking for longs above our 401. So this is what we have for the SMH. The only short scenario that I have is going to be the rejection off our previous day highs for this potential mean reversion back down in towards our pre-market lows along with our 390. So this is what we have for the SMH, but based off the higher time frames, I am leaning more towards the upside if we can now get above our previous day highs for this potential push back up and towards our last week's highs. If we do reject off this area, we can see this potential pullback. We'd still be bullish based off the higher time frames. We kind of have this W-shaped recovery. So longs are still in play above our 388. So as long as you can maintain above 388, we're still going to have a bullish stance, but preferably now it's going to be above our 400, at least right off the bat if we do want to see any sort of push up and towards that 412. If you go into the Dow Jones, since this one is at all-time highs, let's quickly mark out this chart here on the Dow. So the key levels that we have coming into today is just going to be our previous all-time highs. You can see multiple touches. This is the range that we had established for the better part of the past almost a month and a half. So as you can see, we have multiple touches here on the Dow towards the upside, multiple touches towards the downside. Now we finally broke outside of this range. Now we just like to see the retest for a continuation higher. So higher time frames, retest is in play off our 49,800. As long as you can maintain above that, we're going to be looking for continuation towards the upside. If you go onto the hourly chart, or let's go into the lower time frames, the key levels that we can have marked out now is going to be our Friday's highs. And we can mark this overnight high here as well. So this is going to be the key level moving forward. Either we're looking for the reclaim back above for a continuation higher, or we'd be looking for some sort of pre-market low bounce, or now of course the retest all the way back down in towards that 49,800 for that continuation higher. So a couple scenarios here for the Dow. Either way, you're going to have a bullish stance in the overall market as long as you can maintain above our 49,800. All right, now let's head on to some tech names that we have coming into today. So if you guys do have any charts or any tickers that you'd like me to go over, you guys can now drop them in the chat. If you guys are enjoying this so far, I appreciate if you guys drop a like. If you guys haven't joined the free daily watch list, that one is, of course, in the description below. If you guys are having issues with the live stream, sometimes it cuts out every once in a while. You guys can just click the refresh button and you guys will be all set. If price fakes out on the key level in the higher time frame, let's say 1 hour or 15 minute, what will the key level, will that key level still be valid for break and retest on the 1 minute time frame for entries? or shall we mark out new highs, which that was the fake out high? So it'd just be the reclaim entry. So if the higher time frames, let's say, sweeps a level and rejects, then on the lower time frames, right, we can be looking for the reclaim back above our previous day highs, targeting our high of day plus continuation. So it's just going to be a reclaim setup. Okay, let's first talk about Tesla. So Tesla here on the higher time frames, a lot of these names are actually bouncing off key levels of support. We kind of talked about this on Friday, coming towards a key level of support, Nvidia coming down in towards a key level of support. So buyers are stepping in nicely off our higher time frame daily chart, our daily levels. Now we're just right back into the area that we broke down from. So as for something like Tesla, this is the exact area that we broke down from. Nice continuation lower once we broke underneath this 417. Now we have multiple rejections or reactions here. If we want to see some upside above our 417 is going to be key. If we reject, we can see some continuation right back down in towards that 400 key psych. So the key levels coming to market open that I have marked out, of course, is going to be that 417.50 along with our 400. Let's go into the lower time frames here. Previous day highs, very clear levels here for Tesla coming into today. Longs above our 415 are in play. Another possible scenario, consolidation, reclaim later into the session with a push back towards the upside. So these are the long scenarios here for Tesla coming into market open. Some short scenarios, potential rejection here off this 415. Very much well in play here for Tesla, just because, as I mentioned, if you look at the higher time frames, we rejected off this area. So we very much well could come up, fade off this level, and push all the way back down in towards our 400. So keep that in mind for Tesla coming to market open. The reclaim is going to be in play if we have a lot of strong buyers right off the bat. So let's say within the first 5 to 15 minutes, a lot of buyers are stepping in above our previous day highs. Then we could be looking for potential longs. But if it's coming up into this area and it's fairly weak, or if we get back underneath this level, and we reject sharply, then we could be looking for this mean reversion back towards the downside. So key levels today, previous day highs here on Tesla, going to be fairly clear. 415. Let's go on to Nvidia. Let me remove all this. Key levels here on Nvidia coming into market open is our higher time frame key level support. So as you can see here, if we go on to the weekly time frame, if we go on to the daily time frame, really the key level support here was that 170. So you can see touch here, another touch here off this 170. Nice buyers are stepping in and we're pushing this back towards the upside. This is basically the exact level Nvidia had to bounce off of. Now the next levels towards the upside is going to be that 192. So this is kind of the range that we've been in here. So we're just going from range low, range high, range high, range low. And now we like to see a move back up and towards our range high. So for Nvidia coming into today, the key levels that we're going to have marked out and moving forward here as well is going to be the area that we broke down from 187. A break above our 187, mean reversion back up and towards our 193. So coming to market open, exact level that we have marked out. Break above our previous day highs, hold for this continuation towards the upside. Another possible scenario, consolidation, break above, reclaim later into the session for this pushback towards the highs here as well. So a couple scenarios that we have laid out on Nvidia coming into today. This is not a name I'm that interested. I'd much rather short something like Tesla that has a little bit more weakness. Nvidia strong buyers off key levels of support. SMH is bouncing nicely here as well. So much rather look for potential reclaims or longs above our previous day highs than look for this previous day highs rejection. But this, of course, still is in play here as well. So that is not off the table. But keep in mind, right, previous day highs here for Nvidia coming to market open. Now let's go on to AMD. AMD, another name that is bouncing off key levels of support here as well. So AMD, as you can see, we have multiple touches. We have this earnings gap that's still being defended. Multiple touches here off support. Last week, we had earnings gap down. Some sellers stepped in, but ultimately now we're trying to defend this 200 key psych. So we have a couple gaps, right? One gap towards the upside, another gap towards the downside here. Overall, what I'd like to see on AMD is this potential gap fill back towards the highs. So for AMD, the key levels coming into today and what we're going to have marked out moving forward is our 206 along with our 196. So for AMD, this one's a little bit weaker since we had earnings, but my key level moving forward is going to be this 206. This is the exact level we have to hold and maintain if we want to see some upside. So we like to see buyers step in here off our 206. Another possible scenario, longs above our previous day highs, 208.60 for continuation towards the upside here as well. So these are the scenarios that I have for AMD. If we break underneath this 206, then I'm going to be a little bit more neutral, leaning a little bit more towards the downside just based off the higher time frames. So for AMD, in my opinion, 206 is going to be the key line in the sand today. So keep an eye out on this coming into market open. Now let's head on to Apple. Let's go into the daily chart. So as you can see here for Apple, the higher time frame daily chart bounced off support, reclaimed back above key levels. Really solid push on Apple. Now moving forward, we have to get above our 280 if we do want to see any sort of push back up and towards our all-time highs. But we also hit a key level. Let's go back onto the lower time frames. So for Apple coming into market open, the key level that we're going to have drawn out is going to be this 278. Multiple touches from last week, also a higher time frame key level here as well, and multiple touches from Friday. If you want to see some upside, you can see a little bit of reaction so far in the pre-market session here as well. If you want to see Apple upside above our 278 for continuation, or now it's going to be above our previous day highs for this pushback towards the upside. So these are the scenarios that we have laid out on Apple. If we reject off this level, we're just going to see a push right back down in towards our previous day lows, along with a couple key levels that we have from last week, potentially our 272. So line in the sand today is going to be that 278 here on Apple. Let's go on to Google. So for Google, we recently had earnings last week. The key levels that we had marked out was our earnings high along with our earnings low. As you can see, we end up coming down, sweeping out our earnings low, nice mean reversion, back up and towards the middle of the range. And currently a couple of reactions off this area, a little bit of rejection here on Friday. Now the key levels coming into today and what we're going to have marked out is going to be that previous day lows. So that previous day lows is going to be key 321. If we want to see any sort of downside underneath our previous day lows is going to be key for downside today. If we want to see some potential mean reversion, we like to see the bounce play here off that 321. Other key levels that we have marked out here as well is going to be above our pre-market highs for this potential pushback up and towards our 330. So that's what we have here for Google coming into market open. As for Microsoft, this one is actually in a really solid buy area. So for Microsoft, I kind of talked about this full daily gap being one of the areas to keep an eye out for. So we had this earnings gap towards the downside. We gapped up from earnings. This was all the way back in May of 2025. So we end up filling the gap towards the downside. This, in my opinion, super solid for Microsoft. Low risk for this continued pushback towards the upside. Now, if you're going back onto the hourly time frame, the key levels that we have marked out, of course, is going to be our 392. So multiple touches off our 392 higher time frame gap level. If we do want to see some upside here now, reclaim back above our 408 is going to be key here. If we reject, we're going to see this push right back down in towards that 400. But if we can reclaim back above that 408, we can see this nice push back up and towards our 410 and above. Other levels that we have marked out, we can just now mark out that previous day highs as well, and we can drag that over. Okay, let's go on to Meta. Meta, this one has been quite weaker compared to the major indices. Ever since we had this nice gap towards the upside, we end up rejecting off our key levels, which was at 715. And now we're kind of back down closer to our earnings low. So for Meta moving forward, the key levels I'm personally going to have marked out is going to be this 667. And we have your last week's lows marked out here as well, which is our 650. So coming into today here for Meta, we like to see the reclaim back above our 667 for this continuation back towards our 680. That's really the only long scenario that I like. Rejection off our 667. We can see a push back down in towards our previous day lows. Technically, Meta is a lot weaker compared to the overall market. You can see lower highs are still very much being built. So until we can reclaim and flip, I'll be a little bit more cautious for upside. So reclaim back above our 668 is going to be key. As for Amazon, recently had earnings drop towards the downside. If you're looking at this from a daily time frame perspective, you can see we had this kind of gap all the way back down towards our 196. We have a couple gaps on this chart here back towards the upside now on Amazon. So this is something to keep in mind if we're trading. We broke underneath multiple key levels here on Amazon. Now we're having some buyers stepping in right off the bat. The key levels moving forward is going to be our 206. So we're 206 higher time frame key level. We can also mark out that previous day highs here as well. So let's just mark this out. So the key levels on Amazon coming into today after this pretty big earnings gap towards the downside, mark out our previous day highs. If we want to see some upside, reclaim back above our previous day highs or the bounce off our 207 for this continuation higher here as well. Rejection off our 211, we can see a push lower. Now underneath our 207, we can see this push towards the downside here as well. So this is what we have for Amazon coming to market open. And then Netflix, not really too much to talk about. Key levels is going to be that 82.50. Reclaim back above this key level here is in play. So this is what we have for the overall markets here now. Let me kind of go over the game plan coming to market open. If you guys do have any tickers or any charts you'd like me to go over, I'd probably go over them for the next kind of 5 to 10 minutes. There's a lot of things that we had to go over already for a Monday, but if you guys do have any charts or any tickers, you guys can now drop them in the chat. If you guys are enjoying this so far, I appreciate if you guys drop a like. If you guys haven't joined the free daily watch list, that of course is in the description below as well. Okay. All right, let me go on to some of these high beta names for the next 5 to 10 minutes, and then I will go back over my game plan once more and then call it a day. So for MU coming into market open, let's kind of first talk about this one. As you can see, higher time frames, we are bouncing off a key level of support, which is our 370, but MU slowing down just a little bit here. Now the levels that we have to reclaim, of course, are back above our 395. So for MU moving forward, you can see we've just been consolidating the past couple of sessions. Above our 395 is going to be key for continuation up and towards our 408. Another possible scenario here is bounce off our last week's lows, which in this case is our 368 for continuation higher. So this is what I have for MU for upside coming to market open. TSM, one of the stronger names compared to the overall markets, right? Specifically the SMH. We talked about this being our key level, which was our 336. So what I have here on TSM is our 336, nice continuation towards the upside. TSM now, what we like to see is the break above our 350, break above our 350, which is now our all-time highs for this continuation towards the upside. So keep an eye out on TSM coming to market open, higher time frame. If you look at the daily chart, looks fairly solid. Every dip is being bought up so far. Now we like to see that break above our all-time highs for continuation. You do have to be a little bit cautious of the potential kind of rejection right off the bat, but if we can maintain above our all-time highs or even the reclaim, if let's say it rejects, we can be looking for the reclaim back above our previous day highs. Intel, one of my favorite looking tickers on the daily chart. As you can see, we have multiple reactions off our 50 key psych level here. But for Intel moving forward, higher time frames, what we're going to have marked out, of course, is our 50-50 for continuation. Or now it is going to be above our last week's highs, which in this case is going to be this. And when we have marked out, which is our 5150. So this is what we have here for Intel coming to market open. If we can maintain above our 50 key cycle level, we can see continuation. Another possible scenario, of course, now is going to be above our previous day highs for this continuation higher here as well. Intel, just keep an eye on Intel moving forward, right? Higher lows are being built. The daily chart looks good here as well. So as long as you can reclaim back above our last week's highs, we can be looking for a push up and towards our all-time highs here on Intel. As for a few other tickers, let's quickly go over SNDK. This one, a little bit of a pullback compared to the overall markets. The key levels that we have marked out 620 along with our 540. For SNDK bounce play off our 580s in play are now, of course, above our 624 continuation towards the upside. As for Hood, let's go into this ticker. So for Hood, really strong bounce so far. If you're looking at this on the higher time frames, we broke underneath key levels of support. So for Hood, our higher time frame key level was our 100 key psych. Now our dip ads for Hood is going to be really 80 key psych all the way down into 65 and potentially 50. A little bit of buyers are stepping in so far here on Hood, but you can see we're in a very clear downtrend based off the daily time frame. So a little bit of a mini bounce here so far on Hood. The key levels that I have marked out is going to be the areas that we broke down from. So what we can have marked out is our 85 key psychological level. As you can see, this is the rejection level that we had on Wednesday. A little bit of reaction here coming to market open. If we do want to see some upside, above our 85 is in play for a push up and towards our 89. If we ultimately reject off this level, we can see a push right back down in towards previous day close along with our pre-market lows. At least for Hood moving forward, we are still in a very much clear downtrend, so keep this in mind. Overall markets are bouncing fairly nicely, but names like Hood, SoFi, they're going to take a little bit longer. SoFi is coming back down towards potentially 18. Those are your higher time frame key levels that you're going to be looking to add if you're looking for long terms. As for a couple other names here, Oracle, similar kind of thesis. A couple of these ones really bouncing just with the overall markets, but there's much better names if you are going to be looking for momentum moves, at least for risk to reward. These ones are bouncing off key levels of support, but these ones have a little bit more room towards the downside. At least for Oracle, the key levels coming to today, what we're going to have marked out is going to be the area that we broke down from, which is our 153. Other levels that we have marked out here as well is going to be this key level, which is our 144. So a couple reclaims coming to pre-market. Next level here on Oracle is going to be our 153 towards upside. Okay. Let's go into the game plan coming to market open, and then I am going to call it a day here. So coming into today, the key level for me is going to be that previous day highs here on the Qs, along with our 604. So I'm going to be looking for longs above our previous day highs. If we can get above our previous day highs, or if we can reclaim back above our previous day highs for continuation. If the markets want to reject right off the bat, I'm going to be a little bit more cautious on the SPY and the Qs, just because we end up having a nice bounce over the weekend, specifically on Friday, nice buyers stepping in off key levels of support. The Dow's at all-time highs here as well. So let's keep an eye on the first kind of 15 to 30 minutes coming to market open on the major indices. As for SPY, you can see is a little bit more bullish. SPY is closer to your previous day highs. So as I mentioned, longs above our previous day highs are in play for continuation, potentially up and towards our all-time highs here. SMH key level here is our 401. So the game plan coming to market open on the SPY and Qs is just to keep an eye on the reaction off our previous day highs. For Tesla, similar thesis here. We can be looking for longs above our previous day highs, 416 for continuation. If we push up in towards our 416 reject, then we want to be a little bit more cautious. I'm not that interested in playing the rejection off our previous day highs unless we have a sharp rejection along with the SPY and Qs rejecting here as well. NVIDIA is going to be one of my main watches for a potential push above our previous day highs for continuation or some sort of consolidation opening range for a push up in towards our previous day highs here as well. So keep an eye out on NVIDIA, AMD, similar thesis. Keep an eye out on our 205 hold for this mean reversion back towards the upside. And then for Apple, key level is going to be this 276. As for a couple other names to keep an eye out for, Google, Amazon, Microsoft. These ones are kind of in the middle of the range, so not as interested in trading these ones. But my favorite watches coming into today are going to be Nvidia, Tesla, and AMD. Those are the main ones coming to market open. As for some other names that I do like TSM, so keep an eye out on TSM above our previous day highs for continuation towards the upside. That's one of the main semiconductors I like. MU is kind of lagging behind Intel, kind of inside the middle of the range here as well. So until Intel can break above our 5140 or MU to break outside of its previous day's range, or even SNDK to break outside of its previous day's range, you want to be a little bit more cautious on those. As for Palantir, this one bouncing off higher time frame key levels of support. So we're basically back at our really 125 here. So for Palantir, we like to see bigger buyers step in. Key levels that we have marked out is going to be that 136. So 136 is going to be key for any sort of mean reversion above our previous day highs for this continuation back up and towards our 146. So coming to market open, we'll keep an eye out on the first 15 to 30 minutes here on the overall markets. Microsoft, I do like Microsoft. It's just more of a mean reversion, but based off the daily time frame, right, we're in a clear downtrend. We are bouncing off our earnings gap fill low, so you could be looking for this kind of mini bounce here back up and towards our 420. So if you're looking for Microsoft, right, you could be looking for either longs above our 408 or longs, right, will be above our 402 for a continuation back towards the upside. So that's what I have for Microsoft coming to market open, and then the rest of the tickers here as well. So today, we have some red folder news. If I'm not, oh, sorry, no red folder news today here for the Qs. So we'll see what shapes up here today for a Monday after having a nice bounce on Friday. As I mentioned, I already laid out the key levels that we have. We have a couple more earnings later into the week here as well. But that is going to be it for me today. Hopefully you guys did enjoy that. If you did, appreciate if you guys drop a like and sub. If you guys haven't joined the free daily watch list, that of course is in the description below. If you guys want to live trade with me every single day, that one is also in the description below as well. All right, that's going to be it for me, and I will see you guys all tomorrow. All right, take care, everyone. Peace.